Welcome to Food Shrinks.
Hey team, Molly C here. We're so excited to get the podcast started, but before we do, we are practicing what we preach and we're asking for help because while Food Shrinks is free to you, it's not a free service. And so we need your help to get it sustainable. Here are the three things that you can do for us as part of our community. Number one, please subscribe to Food Shrinks. Easy peasy, you just press the subscribe button. Number two, can you please rate it? And if you're in a 5-star mood, we love that for us. And number three, can you share this with others? Because the more people that listen make our podcast even that more sustainable. We love you. We love you. We love you. Let's get the podcast started.
So, the email that we got that we're going to talk about today is I would love to talk about what we go through when there's a letting go of relationships, friendships, interest in general with people, places, things that no longer hold our interest. What used to bring comfort of feelings or safety or just a way to fill our time become almost painful to continue when healing or recovery is morphing. I notice in some instances feelings of shame or guilt for no longer laughing at a friend's memes or posts, like all of a sudden saying these TV shows suck, I cannot watch anymore, or I can't spend time with this person, group, or activity. So what's going on? What is that all about?
Yeah, healing and recovery, I think, is a huge part as we grow. Our nervous system, our brain, even our sense of identity start to shift. And some of those old habits, the relationships, they feel really foreign and even painful. And I think our brain still craves kind of that familiarity and that safety, right? Because our brains are wired that safety is in the known. So new things are a little bit scary and dangerous, even though they're not, but the brain still can interpret them that way. And so this could feel like a threat and trigger discomfort, grief, or guilt as well. So I think what she's describing makes a lot of sense to me. But I do think in healing with neuroplasticity, our identity shifts. And I can certainly relate to the things that I liked before I got into recovery no longer interest me. The people that I used to hang out with, I hung out probably for a reason because they did a lot of the same things I did. And now I'm with the growers, like you ladies, this is where I find my joy. But the me before recovery, I would never have been in this space because it wouldn't have served me at that time.
Mm. I agree with that. I think certainly, right? If we are in a growth mindset and we are growing and we are changing, it makes so much sense that like our environment's going to change. We're going to be water seeks its own level, right? I just have to say, I'm hearing something in this though that's kind of just like twinging me a little, which is, oh, they say in Al-Anon, say what you mean, but don't say it mean. I don't know. It feels a little like on eating disorder vibe for me of like, this is annoying me and that is annoying me and everybody's annoying me and I don't like this and I don't want to be like, the answer is never the opposite. It's like always the balance. And so, yes, like it's dysregulating when you're first getting into recovery and you sort of like get this new pair of glasses on and you're like, oh my God. Oh, she's that. And like, I just had this old friend, Karen, and she would be like, well, what am I going to do if you're not going to binge anymore? And I was like, oh my God, wait, is this like one of my best friends? Like, holy crap. Like, I couldn't even like believe it. And a lot of my life looked like that. But the other thing for me, like in recovery, is like I've really learned how to be like kind of a dignified, kind, and compassionate person. And so I just kind of want to like say that to like, we don't need to like get a fire torch and start like torching the life and just there's a easier, softer way to
Mhm.
sort of start to observe what you like, observe what you don't like, take some, leave some. It doesn't have to be so like bingy, right? It doesn't be like I'm in, I'm out, I hate this person, I love this person, I can't listen. Like breathe, breathe. It's more of an observation and an examination. Like we don't need to cut everybody out of our, I mean, spot it, you got it. I did all this. So I'm just trying to like get you a little ahead of the line of me. But I don't know. It's
Yeah.
the only thing that I heard, which is like, we don't need to cut them all out at once. We
Hmm.
can observe that there's something changing inside of us. And this new development that we want to make may want to be, 30 degrees south or 50 degrees south or 180 degrees south or whatever it is. I don't know. That's my take on it. But it's very normal.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would say I probably experienced the same thing. I always say I'm like 10 different, like I'm like the 10th version of myself easily just in the last 5 years, probably, right? Like just since I've met Clarissa, and I think like every time I kind of find this or I step into like the next version of myself, it's like trying on, do these beliefs still make sense with who I am and what I've got going on? Do these people I'm listening to or surrounding myself with, do they still make sense? Do they support me, or are they trying to keep me in the past? Are they benefiting from me staying sick, like you were saying about your friend Karen? Like, were they benefiting from me staying sick? And so therefore, if I'm doing healthy things for me, am I going to get criticism for it, which is then going to make me feel bad? So I think like both you and Clarissa have said, Molly, that it makes sense that we would grow and outgrow things and outgrow people, and to do it mindfully, as far as like, are we going to like burn bridges just because all of a sudden I'm irritated? Or is it information like, oh, there's something, like there's friction here, and I wonder what that is. Is it because I
Hmm.
truly actually don't like that person, and before I was just like people pleasing? And I think sometimes we do that too. I think in the past
Yep.
versions of myself definitely contorted myself to
Yeah.
play
Shapeshift.
nice with somebody, right? And then I find like that fire and I'm like, yeah, nuts to that, and I'm out. But yeah, I think, yeah, finding that tempered balance of like, does this person, place, thing, program, belief, whatever, does it make sense for who I am right now? Because I always tell people, I reserve the right to, one, always be wrong because I am a human being, but two, to change my mind when I have new information. There's new information coming in, I can change my mind about how I show up in whatever kind of relationship that is.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
No,
also remember there's this chapter I wrote in Breaking Up with Sugar, and it says something like, you're not going crazy, you're just grieving. Like, and like,
Yeah.
because that's the other thing I think as I'm listening to you guys, I'm like, it's really exciting that we're changing and growing, but with all change and all growth comes an enormous amount of grief, and like, these human beings that we live with, and we engage with, like there are mirrors. And so I would just sort of like, I was in so much, I was in grief for what I didn't do. I was in grief for what I did do. I was in grief for who I didn't hang out with. I was in grief for who I did hang out with. It's like, there's a lot of grief that comes with this change. And I think a lot of times when we don't allow for and feel that grief, it's what causes relapse in a lot of ways. It's like not having these like feelings. Like it doesn't, growing is painful.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely okay to grieve what no longer fits, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
God.
And can you also start to see some of this loss as just part of your metamorphosis as well at the same time, and you moving towards new values, and that is this discomfort a sign of your healing? So instead of trying to question yourself, why am I feeling guilty for not laughing at my friends' memes? Is it like my sense of humor is growing and evolving? And why do these TV shows feel unbearable? I can certainly relate because I loved my murder TV.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows me knows. And, really after that psilocybin journey, my nervous system does not enjoy those television
Oh,
shows
interesting.
anymore. So it has really changed.
Oh,
And I need media that's more nourishing now. And, but that is who I was. So I tried to go back to it, and I was like, oh, this is so new and so different, and just being open and curious about it instead of being like, we can go to that place of judgment, right? As like, even
yeah.
me noticing I want plants all around me. I've never been a plant person, but apparently now I want to live in a forest inside my house, and I'm just staying curious and purchasing plants and kind of loving this new side of me at the same time. So that, yeah, I'd say like, it sounds like you're recalibrating, and it can be a beautiful, discomforting, wonderful, challenging thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And like looking, I think the thing about, I do think, I think it's a beautiful thing when we get into recovery that we can interact with people in a much more, I don't know, compassionate way. And I think that's just the thing that keeps on sitting with me. It's like, at least when I got abstinent many years ago, I just it was, for me, it was like a very self-centered thing. And again, the grief of it, like I wish I would have done that a little bit differently. I wish I wouldn't have made it like so much about me and so much about this and what I needed, that right. Like I wish I could have had the skill at the time to sort of temper that and just be a little bit more generous and trusting, trusting that who will come and who will leave, and trusting that I'll find my way. I'm obsessed with this murder thing, Clarissa. I actually used to love reality television. I'm used to like I used to just be able to, and I watch it now and I'm like what this woman's saying. I'm like, this is the dumbest fucking thing. Sorry, excuse me. This is the
Yeah.
dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like, I can't even get into it. And it used to be my source of fantasy. And it was a loss in a weird way. Everyone's like, did you see this show? And I'm like, I hate that stuff. But anyway.
Yeah, which can be hard, right? When that was a way that you connect with somebody, and now you're not finding it of the same, brand of humor or the same sort of
Yeah.
entertainment value. Yeah. And then you start to question. I guess I can just really put myself in this person's shoes, and I can imagine, because this is how I am, that like I tolerate until I burn it all down.
Mhm.
Like, and it can seem like I can hear like how it doesn't sound tempered, but like you're not inside of me as I'm like processing it, and I'm like trying to like take in the information and ask myself these questions and check in with my intuition and all of those things. And for me, so I did some IFS work at one point, and this is a part of me that I used to be so ashamed of, because when I am done with somebody, I'm done with somebody. The
Mhm.
opposite of love is indifference. I used
Mhm.
to think that it was hate, and I'm like, I don't hate anybody, but snip, snip, I will, like, people are gone from my life. And
Mhm.
I used to hate it. And I did a lot of work around it, to the point where I have learned that part I actually have come to appreciate, because she was just trying to keep me safe, or that is her mechanism, right? It's to keep me safe,
Protector.
protect her for sure. And it's like that I have been invalidated so many times based just on my intuition. I can't put my finger on why I feel weird about some person or some topic, or why I don't want to like get on the road right now and I'm going to wait 5 minutes. Like, I can't tell you why, but people will try really hard to be like, you're overthinking it, you're behaving irrationally. And I do just want to like offer that perspective of, if you know that you've done this internal work and now you're ready to rip the band-aid off and it's over, like, I see you. I'm not going to like say that's the quote right thing to do, but if you feel like it's the right thing for you, you don't need us to judge it one way or the other.
Yeah.
You got to do you have
But
to
I think
do what makes
Molly, you're
sense for
also
you.
saying I've done the work. I mean, that's the other
Mhm.
piece with the grief,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
there's a nervous system response to having an uncomfortable feeling that would be a fight response or a flight
Yeah.
response, right? And you're like, well,
Mhm.
while I was sitting in internal family systems, this is what I learned and I'm working on it,
Mhm.
whatever it is. I
Yeah.
think there's a piece
Yeah.
where like there it seems like there might be some beautiful, beautiful work to uncover in this
Yeah.
time as Clarissa was like metamorphosis. Like that's the other piece. Like maybe it's whatever it just like I feel like could we slow down this process to just watch the growth happen and be able to have a
Mhm.
little bit more choice in all of it. That's what I always say to my patients. I'm like, we want to be
Yeah.
have our hand on the thermometer, not just make the house hot all of a sudden.
But also, I want to be mindful of, so often I feel like as women, and if this isn't your experience, I certainly don't want to paint in super broad brush strokes here, but I feel like the stories I hear from my from my clients who identify as women, and then my own personal story, is that we're often taught to be people pleasers, to continue to make relationships work long after
Oh,
they
yeah.
ever should have, that
I'm
kind
not
of
saying
thing.
that one bit.
No, I
I'm
know you're
talking about
not.
process. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know that you're not, but I can also see how somebody might hear that in your
Totally.
message
Right.
potentially too, and to just remind yourselves that you owe nobody your niceness. Like, you can be kind, right?
That's right.
But you owe nobody your niceness. And if you are maintaining relationships with, again, people, places, things, programs, food, whatever it might be, out of niceness, what is that about?
I love that you're saying
Like, what's
program.
going on?
It's like my favorite part of your sell. Like, I agree with it 1,000%.
Yeah.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
it's true. And I think there's also space for both, right? That
Mhm.
like, because I can certainly relate being in relationships. When I'm done, I'm done. And it's because I've appeased so much, I am tapped out. And like, I almost need to flee to save my life. Because if I stay any longer, I will die. And you know, there is a way that I can still leave the relationship and do it like in a more loving way for myself,
Yeah.
slowly, you know, more in the noticing self rather than in that energy that maybe I don't think serves me to just there is like a bit of flee that can go with that, is like that's not me anymore and this is who I am now. And I'm
Remember,
somebody who doesn't
that's
live
like,
life that way anymore.
well, that's like my entire 2025 resolution, is to not, right? Is just not, is to really catch myself when I'm appeasing and people pleasing, so that I don't do the same thing we're all talking about. Don't just like slice you and run.
Yeah.
Spot it, you
Yeah.
got it. Spot it, you got it.
It's
Anyway, I wonder if
definitely.
anybody has any other questions about this. Can you send us, I feel like we're really digging into something here. So maybe you guys want to send us more follow-up questions about this one. You know,
Yeah. Ask the shrinks at foodshrinks.com is our email.
yeah, send us all the thoughts, all the ideas. We love to have these conversations with you. We love you guys, and we'll see you
Keep
next
leaving
week.
comments on the YouTube channel, all the
Oh
things.
yeah,
Yeah.
that one's
Yes.
cool.
See you
Yeah,
next
perfect.
week.
All right, bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Food Shrinks. Quick reminder, this podcast isn't a substitute for professional medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider for guidance suited to your needs. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach others on the recovery journey. Take care, and remember, freedom with food is possible. See you next time.